untouchables. I wanted them to die. Not literally die, obviously, but metaphorically go to jail forever and be absolutely obliterated. Alright, these people have been manipulating and shitting on us plebeians for far too long.
I gotta say, there's a streamer named Destiny. You may remember Destiny from last year when he and I had a debate on Lex Friedman. You know, it was friendly enough.
Yes, it was, unfortunately. That's where Ben Shapiro said that even though Donald Trump might have tried to coup the country, the guardrails held, so we should try it one more time. Probably why one of the reasons why Charlie Kirk might be dead right now. Maybe, possibly. Definitely played more into it than Joe Biden or Kamala Harris did.
I don't think the argument we're having anymore is the argument we're having when it was Barack Obama and Paul Ryan, which is more an argument about healthcare and taxes and, thinking about how many years I spent debating thinking about this anti-tax pledge. It seems irrelevant. Now we seem to be having an argument about more basic of civilization. Right? So how do you think the argument, at least on the right, has changed? The sense of threat has changed?
Well, I mean, I do think that there's a very open debate inside the right that didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. And historically, conservatism was kind of rooted in the Vito Chesterton defense principle. Right? The idea that the difference between conservatives and non-conservatives is that a non-conservative walks across the field, sees the fence, doesn't know why the fence is there, immediately uproots the fence. The conservative sees the fence and says, I don't know why the fence is there. I'm going to go figure out why the fence is put there in the first place before I uproot the fence. In other words, before you tear down an institution, before you rip away something that has a historic basis, try to figure out why it's there, because it might be there for a pretty good reason. And I think that on the right...
Battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2,
I feel like the equal phrasing is like, a liberal walks into a field, there's no apparent purpose for planting it. The conservative phrase is the fence. No apparent purpose for the fence to be there. So I think that's to figure out why the fence is supposed to be there.
Institution, before you rip away something that has a historic basis, try to figure out why it's there, because it might be there for a pretty good reason. And I think that on the right, there's such a rage that has risen, at least on part of the right, that the tendency is to just rip things out by the root, rather than try to correct them, even determining whether the thing can be corrected.
The right isn't conservative anymore, it's counter-revolution.
It's anti-right. I mean, I think that this is, I think that
Not just Constitution. Not just or an anti. It is, but it's like an anti the left that they're showing you, which is not real. That's an issue, right? Because the Conservative Party would consider itself quote-unquote anti-left, but if you ask them, well, who is the left? Well, the left is 85% of Democrats want to teach kids about gay sex in middle school libraries, and also force trans stuff down the throats of our pets and children, and want to trans our animals and trans our 12-year-old athletes. Like, that's the left that they're opposed to. That left doesn't exist.
left is anti-right and right is anti-left. And I think that is, broadly speaking,
We are undefeatable!
that they're anti-right.
I don't think that what motivates Bernie Sanders is that he's anti-right. You don't like Bernie Sanders?
Well, Bernie Sanders is not the mainstream left guy, though, right?
Friends,
He got a lot of support for his
gather
election, but still kind of like out of perimeter of the party.
Talk about that at some point here, the way you talk about it. Fair enough. Your politics, your politics.
By the eye of Agamotto!
Why is that? He's not motivated in the way to say Tucker Carlson or something to say right, motivated by sort of like a reaction. He's had the same
Born again!
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man! Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
The conversation but as we brought up Bernie Sanders, and I don't know if we should have, maybe.
This
But now
queen's reign
Mamdani is going to be
isn't
the...
over.
Oh my god, bro. The New York City mayor is representative of the average aggregate opinion of all Democrats in the United States of America.
You're asking who represents the left in America. Well, until I be the person increasingly. And also say Zoran Mamdani is motivated by desire and Brent Fraser, which I don't think that's accurate. Okay, so, but let's stay on the right for a second. The counter-revolutionary side of it. What's the difference between being a conservative and a counter-revolutionary?
Well, I mean, I think that being a conservative is rooted in basic principles, private property, rule of law, traditional virtue, localism, subsidiarity, balance of power among the branches of the government. Right? These were all the things that I grew up with as a conservative. And
like, that's great, bro, but none of this has anything to do with the modern conservative party at all. It's not even remote. There's nothing to do. No one.
and I think that, obviously, President Trump for your anti-left feeling, and is now a big tent. And the problem with big tents is you let them on plan. And so, yeah, obviously
The problem is not that they've let in a lot of clowns. You are led by clowns. Donald Trump is
to react to.
What percentage of Republicans now don't believe in the legitimacy of the 2020 election? Like, what percentage of Republicans will support Donald Trump doing whatever the fuck he wants in terms of using the National Guard to go where he wants, or doing literally whatever he wants in terms of foreign policy, threatening allies with invasion, it's whatever.
The world with a mentality of danger that can translate into a desire to get things out by the way. Compared to a schedule, are you more or less in what way? I mean,
how do you even have to think about this? If you were a neo, how could you ever be comfortable with the right? Another reason why these conversations are so boring is because Ben Shapiro is one of the leading figureheads of the right wing right now. And because I guess maybe this is just everything in politics, I guess. I don't even know if these guys even have the backbone to guide them. He's a slave to whatever Donald Trump and the rest of the right says. I don't think he has the courage, or the backbone, or the integrity to oppose them on anything. So every answer he gives has to be, well, how is the MAGA audience? Everything's pretty too bad. So
So, are you more or less comfortable? Right.
I mean, in what way? I mean, I'm.
You too?
Ideologically, I don't think I've heard very much of the voice of my career. I started writing a 10K column when I was 17, and so.
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
17 by 25. But my career is very free market oriented, being very focused on foreign policy, I'm very comfortable with as far as opposition from people who identify as part of the right. Yeah, obviously, it's not opposition. It's a much more. It's a less unified movement than the left.
Try to but you can tell me the ways in which you think this is wrong. But this is sort of what I took from it. The claim of the right, you have one version of it, different right-wing fingers and other versions of it, is that the left has turned against the foundations of Western civilization. That they've come to hate, that they now, universities teach their young to hate. Everything that made us great, and the virtues that made us great, strength, ambition, risk-taking, Judeo-Christian beliefs, and this fundamental civilizational difference. And so we're trying to about policy, and now to fight about all of these.
I require Spain.
Was it?
Quantum magic.
A fight about policy under Obama, when McConnell said they were going to do everything they could to make him a one-term president and do this every single thing and be oppositional to every single thing possible.
Born again!
And when do you think...
We are undefeatable!
Or for that matter, the left of that era. So the Democratic Party of that era. Sort of whatever you think we're in.
Sure, so I sort of ran behind the theory of modern American politics, which is the election that people don't care about is actually the most important election, and that's 2012. So in 2008, Barack Obama runs as unifying candidate, like him or hate him, I didn't vote for him, okay? Barack Obama ran as somebody who was, in his very person, unifying America. There's no red America, there's no blue America, there's no United States, there's no black and white America, there's just Americans. And the idea was that he was sort of the apotheosis of coming together. He was the culmination of the first camp. Don't care about it.
We are in this
And that's 2012. So in 2008, Barack Obama runs as unifying candidate, like him or hate him, I didn't vote for him, I'm not a fan. Barack Obama ran as somebody who was, in his very person, unifying America. There's no red America, there's no blue America, there's just the United States, there's no black and white America, there's just Americans. And the idea was
By the eye of Agamotto!
the culmination of the largest strands of American history coming together to put to bed some of the
together.
plagued America over the course of our tumultuous history. And then he pushed a fairly rote left-wing agenda with regard to, for example, Obamacare, the reaction to the Tea Party.
Right, that was not a hidden part of his campaign.
No, for sure. But that's not why people voted for him predominantly. His overwhelming victory, I do not think, was due to his support for a much more government-involved healthcare system. Democrats have been running on that my entire life. I mean, and then trying to run on that back in the 90s. So something changed, and it wasn't Obamacare. So he runs, he wins, Obamacare happens, there's a big blowback in the form of the Tea Party.
It's a great unifier. Did Obama call himself that, or was that Rush Limbaugh?
One step closer to saving the world.
I'm trying to remember if I'm hallucinating or not. Where Rush Limbaugh always said the great unifier. Am I making this up? Or did Obama? Did Obama call himself that? The Great Unifier?
This time I
Why
need
can't
healing.
And he reacts to that by essentially polarizing the electorate. He decides that instead of kind of broadcasting to the general electorate a sort of optimistic message about America, that he is going to narrowcast his electorate. Much more identity groups rooted politics. He's going to appeal to Black Americans as Black Americans, and gay Americans as gay Americans, and Latino Americans as Latino Americans. And there are a lot of articles coming out at this time about essentially demographic destiny, and there's going to be a new minority majority coalition in the United States. And Mitt Romney is the most milquetoast and probably as a personal opinion candidate in my lifetime. He is characterized as a person who worked with gay kids, car, and put y'all back in trains, as Crybabies said during the campaign. And Mitt Romney loses. And I think that the parties take away from that precisely the wrong messages. They take away the same message, but then they manifest it differently. The message taken away by the Democratic Party is we have an unbeatable coalition, this new coalition that Barack Obama has forged in 2012, in which he lost votes from 2008, but he still maintained a very solid majority. This is the way forward. And we'll never lose again because we will be able to cobble together a majority-minority coalition, some college-educated white people, particularly female, and we're never going to lose again. And Republicans took away exactly the same message, which was no matter how milquetoast we run, no matter how clean the candidate, we're going to get ripped up and we're going to lose. We're just demographically losing the argument. And so what Republicans came away with was, we're just going to throw whatever against the wall. The big problem here is that the Congress was simply too nice to have. We need to learn the biggest part of the middle finger. And Democrats took it out. If this kind of loses track of ticket, you could put in Hillary Clinton and she could just inherit Barack Obama's coalition.
Born again!
Only to me, right? I don't think Obama was elected as like the great unifier. It seemed to be to some extent a repudiation of the Iraq and Afghanistan stuff was deeply, I think, unpopular at the time this election season. We had the whole insane housing crisis that was completely fucked. I'm trying to think if we were hitting the, was it like $40 a gallon? Talking points that I vaguely remember.
I am ready to put on a show.
The economy by August of 2008. Energy was 23 cents. Healthcare is here. Is here. Terrorism. Was 73.
I am born anew.
Terrorism, moral values is 61. Environment, trade policy, abortion, and marriage. Energy is going massively.
Quantum match.
Low. I remember that
That is much better.
being a big thing for Obama. But then his analysis here, so Republicans thought that what we needed to do was none of the Republican establishment thought that. The Republican establishment, you included, all hated Trump. They super hated Trump. He managed to claw his way through the primary system because the voters voted for him, but that wasn't like a strategic thing. The voters just liked him.
We're just demographically losing the argument. And so what Republicans came away with was, we're just going to throw whatever against the wall. The big problem here is that Mitt Romney was simply too nice a guy. We need to run the biggest pulsating middle finger that we can. That pulsating middle finger is Donald Trump.
You're just that's just such a wrong analysis. They ran so many bog standard neocons. Who were the last people standing in the primaries?
The right heroes could make
Trump
all
alongside
the difference.
what? Rubio and Ted Cruz? These were copy-pasted neocons. Who else? Chris Christie was a little bit unconventional. He was there for a while. And then who else was holding on to the end? Kasich was kind of there. Jeb Bush was there. Initially, he was popular in the beginning. This idea that they chose Trump? Okay.
And so we're going to run him in 2016. And Democrats took away from this that it basically didn't kind of matter who's at the top of the ticket. You could put in Hillary Clinton and she could just inherit the Barack Obama coalition because that was the new Democratic coalition. And then
this feels to me, without going too deep into it, this feels to me like a more narrow argument political strategy. I don't even totally disagree with it. I do think that the Democrats' embrace of a demographic trend was pretty disastrous. And I would obviously, predictably, put more weight on what the right is doing. But I think I'm pushing you a little bit into something more fundamental here.
No, but I think
this is where it becomes the fight over Western civilization. Because I would say during this period you have, when you're talking about Barack Obama with his sort of micro-targeted polling or whatever it is, it's like you have the birther smear emergent
I think
in a very potent way. So, right, Obama creates reaction as well just by nature of who he is.
Well, I don't know if it's as easy as that. I mean, for people who don't, kind of live on the right and imbibe from the media of the right during this time, the understanding on the right was that Barack Obama was much more of a figure than left and right to say.
Yeah, because you guys said it constantly. Because you guys are such a
and they saw him as a fundamental transformative change agent who did not see the American experiment in a positive light.
Well,
And they felt
you guys said for 8 years that this guy would deliver us to a socialist communist hellhole, and that Obamacare would bring in multiple death panels that would condemn to death every senior citizen in the United States of America. That's what you guys said.
the right side. It's all the positive, sunny, optimistic vision of America. So what he actually meant was high rescue, where America was sort of a sinner in many ways. And his view of American history was much more along the lines of thinking about history with Gates and Trayvon Martin than it was along the lines of there's no white America and black America, there's just America. And so the reaction of the right was, okay, this is an interest group-based politics that does not particularly like the candidate. And we are going to react to that with Trumpism.
So if you understand,
nobody wanted Trumpism, bro. Somebody listen, you didn't want Trumpism, bro. Why is he pretending this? March 4th, 2016. I stand against the establishment that sowed the seeds of Trumpism. I stand against the Republican Party that insists that victory matters more than principle, because victory without principle isn't just meaningless. It's counterproductive to my belief system. Hashtag never Trump. I also had a lot of mean things to say about Trump in 2022 or 2021 after he lost. Again, like, what do you mean? The establishment did not want Donald Trump. Trump just all the Republican establishment hated this guy.
What are the moments in those presidencies that the people on the right are right? That sort of differ from how differently you see them from maybe how I do.
Well, I think that for President Obama, I think the left perceives the Obamacare moment is the moment that the right sort of radicalized, and I don't think that that's actually right. I think the bitter clingers comments were bigger, and that was in 2011. I think the what? That's actually right. I think the bitter clingers comments.
Oh, the ones that you guys took out of context that even J.D. Vance was able to more accurately summarize. In a way, Vance is right. You guys grab one for singular comments, right? You grab one against one thing, and then you blast it all over your media, like Obama is attacking guns and religion, and then that's all you guys fixate on. It's so funny that in a very ironic way, he's accurately summarizing the stupidity of his entire political aisle.
We're a big one. And I think that's an election. I think the Henry Louis Gates statement.
There's still so Professor Henry Louis Gates Jr. was arrested at his home in Cambridge. What does that incident say to you, and what does it say about race relations in America?
In which he suggested that the officer had acted stupidly and then sort of linked that with racial discrimination.
I think it's fair to say number one.
Just this, one of the biggest issues with,
this is real,
especially going back a little bit more in the past. Okay, maybe it's not quite the same. When you are black, you will always never escape that blackness. Okay? People will always look. People who don't like black people will never like black people. No matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter how prestigious you are. I hope that makes sense. This was an event where a Harvard professor was trying to get into his own house, and somebody called the cops on him, and the cops showed up and arrested him. Right? Is this an event that I'm remembering? Correct me if I'm wrong. This is like, epitomizes the fear of black people in terms of like, oh, well, you're always and yeah, this was a super heated moment. And a lot of people felt very strongly about this when it happened. If this is what I'm remembering, Henry Louis Gates. I'm gonna make sure that. A critic, professor of historian, primarily served as the Alphonse University professor and director of the Hutchins Center for African University.
warriors from the deep.
And then he was this here? July 16th, China. Gates returned home to his residence in Cambridge, Massachusetts, near Harvard Square. The front door was jammed, strapped together, and entrance passerby called police. According to hospital residents, describing one individual placing the front door open. Cambridge police officers were dispatched following a consultation. Gates was arrested for charges of disorderly conduct. Prosecutors later charged the charges. Then Barack Obama, I remember this, acted stupidly. He said that they acted stupidly.
Judge, jury, executioner!
Someone lost their minds. So cringe to me. How they
Stupidly, and then sort of link that with racial discrimination.
I think it's fair to say, number one, any of us would be pretty angry. Number two, that the Cambridge police
acting stupidly.
He's stopped in his tracks.
in arresting somebody when there was already two dead people in their head. And number three, what I think we know separate and apart from this incident is
Was there a comic or a meme? Is it a Dave Chappelle thing?
Quantum magic.
This episode broke in and look at this. He has pictures of his own family here. Was this a Dave Chappelle?
Ever-increasing hell.
and number three, what I think we know separate and apart from this incident is that there's a long history in this country of African Americans and Latinos being stopped by law enforcement just before that's
The Trayvon Martin situation was quite polarizing.
my main message is to parents of Trayvon Martin. You know, I had a son who looked like Trayvon.
The Ferguson riot.
Like, imagine, like, going to any Obama speech, and these are radicalizing you as a conservative. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is out here saying the most unhinged ever, constantly. And these clowns are like, oh, well, you know, that's just Trump. He just jokes, LOL. Like, he just said, this is the party of we take him seriously, not for and those are his interviews. So interview with Ezra Klein. These are Ben Shapiro's biggest not even policy oriented, not even government oriented, theory of government, nothing like that. Just these comments on racial. Those are a few words, singular statements. They weren't followed up by any aggressive executive action, DOJ action, crazy policies, sweeping changes to the structure of government. Isn't that kind of... Doesn't that make you sound kind of unhinged? Ben?
Mostly first before. Because I actually think that this one gets caught on this young tape.
I require some aid. Cosmic might returns. Thanks.
Judge, jury, executioner!
Sorry, you guys can't do this tonight. This is like secretly recorded for some donor. By the way, Obama's correct. And J.D. Vance's analysis of this was correct as well. And I think that Republicans would even agree with the sentiment behind this, right? Is policies like NAFTA, things that have made America as a whole much better off, have left particular communities incredibly damaged, incredibly demotivated. They don't have good jobs anymore. They don't have the ability to pursue from jobs, they don't have the ability to pursue families, lifestyles, things that they could be proud of contributing. Some of these communities have been destroyed by things that they weren't able to participate in an America that resembled the America from the 50s, 60s, 70s, right? That the America changed or morphed in a way that they weren't able to participate in this anymore. And so now, yeah, of course, they can say their gods and their guns, or they can do religions and guns, or they immigrate, or those things, right? But remember, in that J.D. Vance, even he agreed with this, right? And most Republicans say, like, oh, this raises a little bit. This is crazy, not bad. But the media, the right-wing media, ran with, Obama says that all Republicans just claim their God. They've got in their guns. And they just, like, made it the most ridiculous.
This is real!
Only 60 seconds left.
I'm not saying I don't like police. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm just scared of them. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we want to call them too. Somebody broke into my house once. It's a good time to call them, but I don't know. House is too nice.
Healing power.
It ain't a real nice house, but you have to do better.
I require some aid.
Judge, jury, executioner!
Open and shut case number 8. I saw this once before when I was a rookie. Apparently, they're gonna hang up pictures of his family everywhere.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
Well, let's sprinkle some crack on him and get out of here.
Now the modern iteration of that joke was that one cop ever charged where she went to the wrong house, I think, And then when she got in, a black guy was living there and she shot and killed him? Whatever. What was the resolution to that? She was charged? Well, that's good at least. Wait, she wasn't? She got 10 years for first degree murder. Oh, okay. Oh, Amber Geiger got 5 years. She's the sheriff now. How have I not heard of that? Wait, what do you mean? How have you not heard of that? Cop goes to wrong house, kills black guy. Wait, it's apartment. I shouldn't be laughing. It's not funny.
We start with breaking news this midday. We are learning more information about the Dallas police officer who investigators say walked into the wrong apartment and shot 26